Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Film Frauds, or myself, Matt, and my co-hosts, Mark
Hello.
and Tyler,
Hello.
provide completely unprofessional and 100% biased opinions on the movies of today, tomorrow, and yesteryear. And today we're back with the new movies again. We are doing Nomadland, directed by Chloe Zhao. Tyler, what is Nomadland about?
Oh, Jesus. I'm on the spot. So basically, the movie stars Frances McDormand as she loses her job at the beginning of the movie, not necessarily as a direct result of like the 2008 financial crisis, but I imagine in some capacity, like a little bit of
2011.
2011. But I imagine it's some kind of like trickling domino effect. But she sells all her possessions and buys a van and then drives around like the Midwest. And that's the movie. Like she's a modern day nomad is like the official kind of like title given to her in this. It's an interesting movie. It's basically a front runner for all Oscars. It has a very great chance of winning Best Picture. Chloe Zhao is a Best Director kind of, I guess, staple right now. There's a very good chance she wins. It's incredibly well reviewed. I think it has a 4.1 on Letterboxd and a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. Everyone very much universally kind of praises this movie. And I think there's a lot of kind of interesting stuff here. But first, before we do all that, this is officially a non-spoiler section of the video. We will identify when it's like, hey, this is spoilers, but there isn't a ton to spoil in this movie. But we just want to give like a spoiler. Yeah. Well, you guys distracted my great rambling. This is technically a non-spoiler section. We won't give away anything that happens, even though there's not a lot. So if you're worried, stay with us. Hi, welcome. The second off is our Judas and the Black Messiah video. Thank you guys for watching, commenting. Even if you didn't like our review, that's fine. We kind of strive for like open and honest criticism. And if you guys don't agree with us, leave a comment about it. That's what we're here for.
And you're objectively wrong.
And you're objectively wrong because we're always right. Also, we usually throw this at the end of the episode, but we are on all like podcast apps. So check us out there if you want like an audio version, if you want to like listen in a car and have my like smooth, high-pitched voice screeching in the early morning.
Swerve into the other side of traffic.
If you want,
voice.
I want the number of automobile accidents to skyrocket if our podcast becomes popular. Good morning, everyone. So that we're doing that, but also comment who your favorite film fraud is, as long as it's me.
And I'll be like the next Bird Box.
Oh no! Why? I see a podcast is auto playing. What's that? It's Film Frauds. No. Yeah, that was. I'm welcome. So yeah, Nomadland. Matt, what do you think of Nomadland?
So on paper, I should really like this movie. Because it's all about traveling, and that's something that I really like. But in actuality, I found it to be extremely cheesy and very boring. I don't like Parasite last year when the Oscar felt so justified. If this movie wins the Oscars this year, I like, not that there's much to compete against it, but I don't see the 97% Rotten Tomatoes that this has. I didn't think this movie was particularly good. I was very bored, and I was purposely finding excuses to do things around the house to distract myself while it was on.
Wow.
Everyone just clicked off our video and disliked it. We shouldn't have started with you. Yeah. Oh my God.
Wow. I don't know. It just like, I was just so excited to watch it. And then like 30 minutes in, I was just not into it. And then it just continued to do the same things over and over again. I don't really think this movie is as good as people are hyping it up to be.
Oh my God.
I think Frances McDormand is really good. I think Chloe Zhao's directing is occasionally good. But
there's so much shade. You are.
Wow, you surprised me.
Yeah, her directing
it just did not work for me. I'm not like, I'm sounding more bitter than I mean to be. I'm just very like indifferent. It just didn't do anything. Like, I'm not angry. I'm just like, it just happened, you know?
Oh my God.
Do you see yourself remembering you watched this in like a month?
I'm literally, I finished the movie and I watched something else and I forgot that I'd watched Nomadland.
Oh my God.
100% serious.
Wow.
Hey, wow. As well, Matt's out of your competition, everyone, for favorite film fraud. Mark, what did you think of Nomadland?
I think that this movie kind of tricked me into liking it at the beginning, and then as time went on, I thought about it more. It began to like disintegrate in my hands a little bit. from the beginning, I was like, I think within the first 30 minutes, I was like, hey, this could
Most
really be.
clickbaity title. Oh my god.
In the first 30 minutes, I thought like, hey, this is shaping up to be really something. And I had seen the trailer, and I was under the impression that she would end up with the nomads by the end of the movie, but she ends up with the nomads within the first act, I guess you could say. And I was like, where's this movie gonna go? And then you get all these like, given they're beautiful shots of like, golden hour in, the American West.
But you said golden
And
shower for a second. I was very
golden
confused.
shower. But yeah, just like nice sunset, shots, and they are beautiful shots. But does it make it a good movie? Because it's like 40% of the movie. It's just shots of the American landscape. And you know who does do that well?
Terrence
And I'm not saying
Malick.
Terrence Malick does that exceptionally well. It's a shame that we didn't get to watch Badlands sooner, because that is literally what like half of Badlands is. It's just shots of nature, and it's magnificent. And this film, I could definitely see the Malick inspiration. And the movie completely loses steam. This movie is like 20 or 30 minutes longer than it needs to be. And
And it's pretty short too. It's only an hour 48.
yeah, well,
It's not even like it's that long. Take off 30 minutes. It's like a short film.
yeah, well, yeah. So like maybe like a good 18 minutes could be dropped
Yeah.
from this, and it loses steam. And then after a certain point, I think once the nomads have gone their separate ways, and they the meeting is over, that's when it really the wind is completely lost from the sails. And after finishing the movie, I was like, that was pretty good. I liked it. And then I thought about it. I really thought about it, and I was like, well, I don't know if I agree with that thing. This thing could have been done better. I've seen better commentary here. And then I read like a bunch of like negative reviews, positive reviews, and I started slowly to shift into like, is this an A or a B? Is this a high B or a low B? Or is this just a straight up a low B? I'm sort of giving away my grader, early on, but like that's sort of how how I feel. I felt tricked as I started to think about it more.
Because when you finished it, you said this movie's gonna be on the Criterion channel. Does that mean you said that you liked it, or does that just mean like you think the style of the movie is fitting of Criterion?
I stand by that statement. I stand by that. This movie could end up in the Criterion collection because it feels like something I'd watch on the Criterion channel. Yeah.
It's funny you say that because Chloe Zhao did an introduction for Terrence Malick's Brave. No, not what's the one where it's about Pocahontas and
Brave New World.
Brave New World. Yeah,
New World
because Brave New World's a novel.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, so New World, because Chloe Zhao did like an introduction for that movie. So it's funny that you compare her to Terrence Malick, because it seems like he is a huge fan of Terrence Malick. But yeah, Tyler, what do you think?
You guys are fucking nuts. This movie is phenomenal. You guys are batshit insane. What the fuck is wrong with you? This movie's incredible. I am like...
Wait, hold on. Are you joking?
No, not at all. Like, I legitimately love this movie. Like, I like, this is my type of movie. You guys are
okay.
Fucking
all right,
nuts.
Let's hear it.
I was like, Mark, you texted our group and being like, this is a Criterion movie. I'm like, Mark's in on it. I'm like, thank God.
So you saying he liked the movie because he thought Mark was going to like it?
No. I fucking saw that. I went through. I was like, all right, Mark's in on it. Okay.
All right, let's hear it.
This is my type of movie. The only thing I can compare this to try to like base an argument is I love a movie like A Ghost Story. Where a ghost story.
I love a ghost story. I love a ghost story.
Ghost Story too.
But the thing is though, like, it's a style of movie. Okay. Nomadland is like, I just want to clarify for the audience. It's slow. And it's very like meditative. It's long shots of like Frances McDormand just kind of going through her everyday life as a modern day nomad. And it's just like so captivating. Like there was something about it, whether it's like these like beautiful like vista shots as she kind of like just goes through like different things and like meets different people. There's such like a human like aspect to it where she meets all these people who have been brought together in this community through some like different circumstances. One of like my favorite scenes in the movie is when they meet a bunch of people and they talk about how they ended up here. One woman, her parents wanted to do this and then they both got cancer and then they died, and then she basically took up that kind of mantle. Or we get this incredibly like moving interaction at the end of the movie. Spoilers, fuck you guys. This is this is slight spoilers, but we get this interaction between Francis McDormand's character and another nomad that like he's out here because like his son like killed himself when he was like 28, and he like gets choked up, and he's just like, it's difficult, and it's just like these human like interactions, and every part of it feels so genuine, which I get is a little ironic considering Chloe Zhao's like kind of more non-background like this. I think I listen.
Apparently she's mega rich.
Apparently she's from a mega rich family, and I get that doesn't necessarily mean like you can like you can kind of capture that kind of essence of a movie without actually, you know, being a part of that. But there's something like so meditative about like everything here, and it's just a lot of it came together for me when we get to the kind of the end sequences and Frances McDormand goes back to Empire, Nevada, and she goes through her old workplace and she goes through her old house and just kind of like reflects. And this is after she kind of like talks about her relationship with her husband and that life together. And there's something so human about it all that I just like, I found myself getting choked up at the end of the movie. Like I was like so invested in it that when the end credits rolled, I was like, I wanted more of this. Like I am so content with just like
I like grabbed my USB port and just stripped it out of my laptop when I saw the first credit roll.
You're like, yes. You're like, I'm like legitimately baffled by this, by your guys' like not disdain, because I know Mark, you said you'd probably get like a B. Matt, you seem to be very low on it.
I would say like I'm in a C range, but like it's not hatred, it's just pure like indifference.
I view like this is not like a Black Cat version 2 or whatever. This is
like I wasn't angry watching it. I was just bored. Like I
don't find this. I found this to be like very like just like peaceful and like reflective and like sort of like existential. Like I love
Ghost Story. Like you go to Ghost Story. With Ghost Story, like there's mysteries in it. Like you're trying to figure out what like the movie is so unpredictable that even though it's slow and meditative, like the unpredictable nature of it is what helps keep you engaged, in addition to the, you know, the philosophical like wandering.
See, this
but
is
I
like,
don't know.
this
had no mystery to me. It's just like I knew it was gonna be like, okay, so she's gonna go to this new area and she's gonna meet another depressed person and it's gonna say, oh well, blah blah blah, my life's terrible, and then there's gonna be a shot of the open west, and she's going to another place. Oh, blah blah blah. I left my husband 20 years ago, then I got cancer, and then.
But that's that's the point.
And then my dog got cancer, and then.
So hold on. There's the point of this is like the reason
and then my RV got cancer and it broke down.
Good God. Okay, so basically the point of me bringing up a Ghost Story in the comparisons because there's these slow meditative movies that focus on kind of like inward reflection. Listen,
Tyler, he loved watching Rooney Mara eat a pie for 7 minutes, and he wanted Frances McDormand taking a dump for 7 minutes.
He actually watched that scene in slow motion.
Yeah, wait, which one, the dump scene or the pie eating scene?
Both scenes.
Both scenes, yeah. I replayed them too. I actually, the only really like thing I'm grading about this movie is that poop scene. All of this is about that poop scene. No, listen, I just like, this is like the type of movie I look for. Like a movie that just tries to like strip away a lot of like the Hollywood aspects of it. And I think a lot of that is evident by the fact that there's only two actual like actors in this movie. It's Frances McDormand and it's David Strathairn.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then everyone else is a real person. And there's something like so like simple about a lot of this, that like that constant search for me of like a stripped down Hollywood essence is like perfectly like encapsulated here. I love just like these journeys of just like placed through like an economic like backdrop, like an economic kind of like depression. Like you put people in like challenging environments where Frances McDormand is constantly like working like part-time jobs just to get enough money just to survive, and everyone else is in that same similar boat, and you have this like sense of community. Like the first sequence, like Mark, you were like, I'm done after, like you kind of checked out after or the movie loses steam, sorry. That first sequence of like the nomads and when they all come together and then split apart, one, it's like an excellent sense of like community. Like there's this like really great sense of like shared, like not necessarily shared trauma, but just shared adversity that they're all here at this point. And then that eventually connects to the end where that one nomad who's reflecting is like, I never say goodbye to these people. It's just, I'll see you down the road, because that's what it is. We'll see you down the road. And that point, I'm like getting choked up at the movie. I'm like, I'm like, this is just like, it's just hitting me. And something about it hit me. and it works. And I think you guys are legitimately fucking nuts. Like, I'm
I-
so
I-
surprised.
I have several things I want to say. Well, first off, I want to probe Tyler. So would you think that this movie would have been better as a documentary?
I think you lose a lot of that. Well, I mean, that's the interesting thing. Maybe it could have, and maybe
So
that's
let's strip all the other nomads out and let's
Okay.
let's analyze just Frances McDormand.
yeah. Okay.
Do you find a compelling enough character to
I
warrant this movie?
find her a character compelling in the sense of how she's affected by real world issues. Not
Yeah.
And then but there's also this like very like she's a reserved and restrained character who you kind of have to like journey through. You go with her to reach her kind of like emotional kind of crux and her emotional kind of journey to the end where she finally talks about like a big reason why she's like taking this like modern day nomad like journey, and you finally get to that point. You feel like you are with her. You go with her through thick or thin. You meet the people that she meets. You kind of go through the relationships. There's a sense of like mundanity to it when she's constantly having to go back to work at the Amazon Wish Fulfillment Center. And by the time she finally confronts like what this is and then goes back to Empire and like scours through the life of like her scours through the ruins of her own life, because they are ruins. I mean, she goes to like her old like was it like not steel mill
It's
like
like
sheetrock.
Yeah.
And like it looks abandoned. Like there's people's like mugs there and paperwork. It looks like it was just abandoned overnight. And it's just like there's like very like meditative. And she drives away. Like it's like sense of reflection. It's a very interesting question though, Mark. And Matt, what do you think? Like, would this movie be more effective as a documentary following like real people?
I think it would be more genuine if it was a documentary. I think like so I'm gonna like this is kind of random, but I kind of despise the score for this movie.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
the
piano.
score got on my nerves, man.
Yeah, it was so cheesy and manipulative. It's like
Very
oh,
manipulative. This is how I felt about this movie. Manipulative. Sorry, I'm
yeah.
cutting you off.
So I think like I mean like you compare. I mean this is like a really weird comparison, and I don't want to compare movies like what we're doing, but like you look at like Darren Aronofsky's like The Wrestler, and it's like following like a poor community, and there's no music. It's all handheld camera, and it just feels like you're in a documentary following this washed up guy who's like living in a who's also living in a in like portable home. He's living in a RV or whatever. But like this movie, it's like there's all these shots of Frances McDormand like walking and like the sunset's there, and it's like it's playing like that slow piano music. And it's like, come on, like it feels very manipulative in that regard. And like I don't know, I think I would have liked the movie more if it was just like following these people, like the lady who had so like, with the lady who had brain cancer. Is she like a real person?
Alaska?
Still
Swansky?
Yeah, Swansky. Like saying that she's a real, like I don't know if she's a real person or not.
Yeah.
Like say like the documentary is following her, following the guy who leads the camp whose son committed suicide. Again, saying all these people are actually like these are like their real life stories. I think a documentary directed by Werner Herzog would have been way better.
Oh my god.
So another question.
Can I say something about the score real quick? I completely disagree. In the sense that the score is completely absent from any actual emotional scenes. Anytime.
No, I mean, what do you mean when Frances McDormand's walking around in the camp? You don't think that's supposed to be an emotional scene?
Well, no. So every time the score comes on, it's played over a vista shot, whether she's driving or whether the score's never played when she's in the scene with someone else. And that's usually the scores usually acts as kind of a transition moment between place and place.
But why is that not emotional?
Because it's not like
obviously
emotional.
the score is there to be emotional.
The thing
like,
is, though,
you're claiming
hold on. You're claiming it's emotionally manipulative, but it would be emotionally manipulative if it was played over like, see the final sequence when the guy's talking about the fact that his son committed suicide, and that like the sad like piano melodic score plays. That would be emotionally manipulative, but instead, a lot of those shots are just handheld cameras in someone's face. There's no score. You often just hear like the background like birds or just like rustling, or there's fire play. You just hear that. There's no like, and it's like, again, if this is a real person, I don't know. Like, I don't know who these people are, but there's none of like, and like in my son, like he chokes up when he's saying it. If like the music score came out, that's emotional manipulation. But kind of like, I think the score backs over these vista shots just to kind of get a sense of ambiance and just try to get like, hey, look, like reflect on like where these characters are going and look at this journey. It's not emotional manipulation if it's not played over emotional parts.
I see what you're saying, but it's setting a tone regardless, so I disagree.
Okay, I like I
Like, there's a reason why they're playing a slow piano score and not the soundtrack of Mad Max Fury Road. Like,
yeah. Listen, but I
it's
think
there for a reason.
So
They
for
should
me,
they should put a Mad Max Fury Road cut.
And then my son died.
Jesus Christ, man.
oh my god, we're gonna get canceled.
All right,
No,
all right, I have another question. Oh, sorry. Continue your point.
no, I was just gonna say, like, I get it. To me, it works with. You say it's like an establishing of tone. I think it works with a continuation of tone. I don't think it's emotionally manipulative at all. Okay, Mark.
Okay. Do you believe that this film romanticizes the nomad life?
I think this. Sorry, it's swanky. What did I say for that person? Swank.
At least it's swanky.
I said swanky. Does it romanticize it? I don't think the movie is trying to focus necessarily on the everyday struggle, but rather the emotional kind of journey that brings people to this aspect. Because there's not a lot of like.
Okay, that's what bothers me.
Okay, what bothers you
Because
about it?
that punch is lost. The film fails on the delivery of that punch because the film very loosely addresses the circumstances that cause these people to take go the path of the nomad. Because they briefly mention it like in the tyranny of the dollar.
Yep.
Like the reason why they do this is because of economic hardship or personal family loss or all these different reasons. But the film, there's no real commentary for the film. Like there's like the Frances McDormand's character Fern goes to a Amazon facility like twice in the film. There's no commentary there. It's sort of, it doesn't paint Amazon in a good or bad light exactly, but the address of just the tyranny of the dollar, like it just, that impact is lost. There's no commentary, real commentary. And it feels like the reason why this is getting so much buzz is because it makes the people in the Academy like watch the movie and go, oh, that's so sad, and then like, but there's no confrontation from the film. Like this is like, there are reasons why this is happening. These people are, there's poverty and homelessness, and the film, in a way, I don't think it directly romanticizes it, but to a certain degree that it does to a certain degree. And there's no address of the real social and economic circumstances that cause people to take the path of the nomad. So that's why it feels very manipulative and disingenuous the more I think about it.
So it's tough. And again, I'm not going out here and fighting, being like, you guys are objectively wrong, because that's not how
you're nuts.
What? I did say, yeah, but I didn't say you guys were like, I did say you're nuts. The thing is though, like, you're saying that your issue with it is that there's no kind of overarching commentary, is that you would rather maybe like a slight commentary on like a capitalist society where what are the circumstances that people are getting here from like an economic standpoint? Like, why are these people in a nomad? And I watched it, and that for me is just like, think about Cold War, where a lot of the backdrop of the movie is like the kind of like Cold War era politics and that kind of tension there, but it's not the direct cause of a lot of the issues with the characters in Cold War. It's not what like brings them there. And this one, the economic,
they're brought together because of Stalin propaganda, like trying to produce Stalin propaganda machine.
But that's not like the driving force, is my point. And this one, economic,
what is the driving force?
Yeah, I don't remember much of Cold War.
They're constantly being separated because of the Cold War. The Cold War has everything to do with Cold War.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh crap! I'm gonna cut this part out. I like making a fool of myself. That was the only thing I could think of. Basically, what I'm saying is, in this movie, at least, the economic world, like social circumstances that bring these people together, is not what's important. But for me, like the emotional punch is that characters going through trauma do not always wear their trauma on their sleeves. That's not like a movie that's where it's a very complex thing, because what I like about this movie is the fact that it's like, it's not just like very like emotionally in your face, is that characters will talk about their traumas, but their traumas aren't their characters. Rather, it's a movie focusing on the traumas that got them there, but then the community that's built. And we follow Frances McDormand, who is probably the only one, because she's the main character, who like is very clearly like still processing a lot of her like trauma and like what she's gone through. And that emotional kind of crux at the end when she goes back and visits is that like emotional kind of like catharsis. It's not a movie that I think needs to have a commentary, because I don't think that's what it's aiming for. I think it's a movie aiming to focus on the community kind of aspect of it, and it's like meditative style, rather than going like, hey, let's focus on like why these people are in this situation from an economic standpoint. But there is this sense of like, when you look at the Amazon Wish Fulfillment Center, there's not this like romanticism of it. It's treated like an assembly line because that's what it is. There's all this sense of humanity that's in Nomadland when you go through the community. Like, look at the juxtaposition between like a small thing like trading some of your goods when you're in like this like kind of like nomad community. Then like you get these shots of like the vast rows of people in the Amazon Wish Fulfillment Center. There's like a very clear juxtaposition being put there. And I don't think it has to be like a direct commentary. I don't think every single movie has to be a glowing commentary if that's not what the movie's going for. And I don't think this movie's going for that.
What do you think is the purpose of the movie? Why do you think this movie was made?
I think it's just to show like a human like element of a life that like people like us just like can't like grasp. I mean,
Because Chloe Zhao wanted to go on a road trip across the U.S. and this was her excuse.
Listen, it's the thing. It's like, hey, but there's this like.
Was this filmed during COVID? That'd been interesting if they had. No,
I don't think so.
not.
But the thing is, like, it is. I understand it's a weird juxtaposition to have like Frances McDormand, who is a successful, I'm assuming, like millionaire rich actress, and Chloe Zhao, which
she's married to one of the Coen brothers, so she definitely
is. She really? Who's she married to?
Ethan, I think. Ethan.
Wow,
Coen.
that's awesome.
Wow.
But then like it is a weird thing, and there is like a few points where it's just like. There is like one point where she's like working in one of the camps, and that's when she meets Linda May. Or no, she doesn't meet Linda May, but she talks about that. And there's just like the moment where it's like, oh yeah, Frances McDormand's like really rich, and it's like that. But I think it does a good enough job of like that's not being the focus, and it takes your attention away, and it puts a lot of emphasis on the people, and then not just Frances. It's like a weird. I hate the arguments of like it just worked for me, but the movie just works for me. It's what I look for when I go watch a movie.
So,
sorry,
Matt, you go.
Oh, okay. It's funny you say that the trauma doesn't feel like you said earlier that the trauma doesn't feel like it's like defining the characters.
Yeah,
I kind of feel not 100% the opposite way, but I feel like the trauma is meant to be more of a bigger deal. Because so I was into the movie, as I said, like for the first 30 minutes, because it's like she's going around, she's meeting people. She meets the first woman she meets is the one who says like she lost her job, she's gonna drink herself to pass out, turn the propane tank on, and she woke up. She let a match and die. But what stopped her was looking at her dogs. And then she goes and meets the other lady. She's like, oh, I was going to go on a road trip with my parents, but they both got cancer at the same time and died in a couple of months. And then she meets, I'm skipping things, but then she meets Swanky. And then it's revealed, like, you meet her for like 5 minutes, and then she's like, oh, I have brain cancer. It sort of started coming to repetition for me. It's like, oh, I kind of started to realize, oh, just gonna meet someone and they're gonna have a depressing backstory. I'm not trying to trivialize their backstories by any means, but when it's so frequent, it just loses the impact. And that's why I needed a narrative thrust for this movie, because there's only so many times I can say, oh, that's a sad story. I needed something more. And I feel like part of it is that their sob story is their defining character, because it's always there isn't a single character that doesn't have a sob story, and it's always like this, and it's always a scene where they have. And other than like the kid who has like the lighter, maybe. I mean, he's still like not talking to his parents. That's still pretty sad as well. It's just like there's only so many times I can say, oh, that's sad, you know?
Yeah.
But
listen, I think. Go. Sorry, Mark. Go.
I was sort of gonna change my point. Change the steer of the conversation. So if you're gonna rebuttal to Matt, then you should go.
I think it's just like an essence of characterization with these vast people. I'm assuming these are not like actors, just from the fact that no one has any credits outside of Nomadland. This is where like the documentary style, I think, is an actually very interesting argument, Mark. And I'd love to come back to that in more detail, because if you're interviewing this like a documentary and you view this from that perspective, then you can't give a narrative focus to every single person in this movie. But I think the point of it is the fact that like the characters of these people is like the community. And like the larger sense of like, hey, look how these people interact when they're having like these large like fires and these large like hangouts and stuff like that. Or not hangouts, that sounds so like trivial. But these large like where they're just together, and that's kind of the character in a sense of the movie, is the community and the trauma that these characters I didn't mean to put that in air quotes. The trauma that these people have gone through is what brings them there. And it's tough to use from a documentary perspective, because if you get a more documentary style, you're going to have these people like giving these like brief interviews being like, I'm here because of ABC. And then you would view them for probably more of like a group setting. And I think that's the point of it is like this, like, a lot of it came together again is that final line of like, in this group of people, you don't say goodbye, you say you see you down the road. And I do. And he's like, I do see these people down the road. It might be a few weeks from now, it might be a few years from now, but I do. And it's just like, it ties together this sense of like unity, that maybe it's a reflection of what we're going through right now. And maybe it's a good time that this came out, because that sense of like unity might be gone because of like larger like political issues or just the world. It feels very ununified. And maybe that's the point. Maybe like working through it, maybe I need to rewatch it again and maybe to get it a little more, because this is definitely a movie I want to rewatch.
This
Go crazy,
felt,
Mark.
This sort of felt to me like the cinematic equivalent of a self-help book, where self-help book they usually have like a set of rules that are like truisms, like keep your back straight or make your bed. It's like stuff you can't argue with.
Yeah.
But it's hard to like critique, because it's like, okay, well, this could be helping. This could be a help to some degree, but it's, to me, that's sort of, in this film, it sort of felt like those like sunset shots or whatever. Like those felt like the truisms in a sense, if I were to like translate it to film, because it's like, you can't disagree with the fact that that's a beautiful shot. But like in terms of like a self-help book, it's like, it doesn't make it a literary masterpiece if you have like these rules that you can't disagree with. Same goes for this film, where just because there's beautiful shots, I can't say that it's like obviously like a masterpiece. And so that's like, I don't want to call like a self-help book like literary slop, I guess, because it's like, I guess it's like, it's not exactly nutritional. You know, there's better books out there, sort of.
Yeah.
I know I'm making the impression that I'm really dogging on this film, and there's aspects of it that I do like, but again, I think I really don't like it when things are disingenuous or manipulative, and so, but that's, the more I think about it, the more, that's how I feel about this film, because the sunset shots, they feel manipulative. But that, like, Terrence Malick is a prime example of, like, you know, photographing scenery without that sort of manipulation, I guess. Maybe if I hadn't seen Badlands, I'd be higher on this film, but that's sort of where I stand.
So I have a bunch of questions, and I'd just like to throw out like one retort. I think Matt, you put it out, so this might be more directed to you. Matt, you've seen Patterson.
Yeah.
Patterson, I think, might be a good movie to.
I always think, I'm like, like when you say Patterson, I think Paddington, Paddleton, Patterson. You have to like go in your mind, like, wait, which one have I seen?
Which one? I like. Yeah, it's well, okay. So I want to throw out the Patterson, because you like Patterson. I don't think you're as high in it. You're not as high in it as I am, and that might be a good reason.
But I like it.
Patterson is a movie about a guy's week, and his big spoiler alert for Patterson. The big narrative or like emotional moment at Patterson is a dog chews up a notebook. But what works about that Patterson to me is the fact that it's like you just kind of experience a guy in his life. There is the narrative.
A guy? Did you say a guy in his life?
A guy in like a week of his life. Yeah.
Oh,
it's like some guy, and the narrative like thrust of the movie is just the daily journey. And what like gets you, and like I get Patterson's a lot more about like creativity and like what gets you up in the morning, like that creative kind of thrust. But a lot of that might be kind of indicative of why like Nomadland is the narrative thrust is the everyday kind of like this experience in this. And this movie is probably just like a thing of like taste. Like these kind of movies work for me, and these kind of movies impact me in a way that not a lot of other movies do. I'm not saying this is the best movie. I'm not saying this is a perfect movie, but I think this movie's really great. And I think this movie's one of the better ones I've seen this year. And if it wins like a Best Picture, I'm okay with that. Yeah. I think that's a good choice.
I mean, like in Patterson, though, like it's not like he's going around meeting people that all have terrible, horrible backstories. I mean, like they're very different. Like they're similar in the sense that they're slow, I guess, and that they're kind of wandering in plot, but I don't think that they're very similar in tone, like at all.
Yeah. So I've been the only one championing this movie. What did you guys like about this? I know you guys, Mark, you said that you were a dog. You sound like you're dogging on him. So let's give this a chance for you guys to seem like, to kind of like sing some stuff about it, because we have been like fighting for the last 30 minutes.
I think, okay, well, can I say one thing before we do that? It's a question I have for you. Do you think that any part of this is Oscar bait? I can think of one very specific moment, and it was like it's like the dictionary definition of Oscar bait, in my opinion.
Is it when she reads sonnet 18 of Shakespeare? Is that what you're talking about?
No.
Oscar bait. I mean, Oscar bait is such a term that's like, when I think of Oscar bait, I think of emotional manipulation, and I don't view that at any capacity in this movie. But what is it, Mark?
It's the part where Frances McDormand is walking in front of that movie theater, and it's like in that sort of grimy old town, and there's only one movie in the theater, and it says Avengers.
Does it really? I didn't catch that. That's
it said Avengers on it. It was like in this dilapidated old theater, and I was like, oh my god.
It's funny when you find out that Chloe Zhao just got the Eternals. So I wonder if she did that scene before she knew she was going to be working on a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
She probably did, because they've been working on the Eternals for a long time, I think.
True.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that was about, but it definitely felt like those like 70-year-old guys and the 80-year-old guys in the Academy are like, hey, she thinks the Avengers are bad guys, so that's an Oscar.
Oh my god. Okay.
That's what it felt like.
Mark, you and I saw it, and you paused it and you screenshot it and you posted to r/movie details. You're like, look, I found something.
Objectivity in the arts has been found.
Okay. Things you liked about the movie.
Okay.
And then I can like briefly touch on maybe like not issues with the movie, but like things I can definitely like.
Okay.
See as like something.
I found everything involving Swanky to be extremely compelling, and I was very interested in her character, and especially that speech where not exactly a speech, but that sort of monologue where she talks about kayaking.
Yeah.
And then seeing the birds above and below in the reflection in the water. And I thought that was beautiful. And I think pretty much everything involving the Nomad get together, I loved. And I think I liked it when she read the sonnet 18 of Shakespeare. I like that scene.
She was like that earlier on as well.
Say again?
She was earlier on to like the student.
Yeah. And then and also, I liked about that is that she meets that student again. You know, the whole idea of like, I'll see you down the road. Yeah. So that was one thing that it was like a circle. Yeah. I was not listening. He's reading something.
I was like reading a half-star review of this movie. So keep going. Sorry about that.
But yeah, I mean, there's no denying that the shots are beautiful. And I think I really gave an impression that I was really hating on this movie, but there's definitely Chloe Zhao is definitely someone to keep your eye out for. That doesn't mean I'm going to go see the Eternals though.
Oh my god!
It has Richard Madden and Kit Harington in it. It's gonna be a Game of Thrones reunion.
It's Jon Snow and Robb Stark versus the event.
Oh my god!
Can you imagine the Eternals comes out and it's just shots of it's just the Eternals like driving through like Midwestern communities and talking to people. And that's the whole movie.
That'd be great. I'd see that movie. That'd be the best Marvel movie ever made. Matt, what did you like about this movie?
I mean, Frances McDormand is obviously great. Even though her character I didn't think had much depth. I think like her acting is just top tier always. It's nice seeing her have like a bit of like a renaissance with this and through Billboards.
Yeah,
she's a really great actress. Chloe Zhao is like a really good director. It's just like what like with Mark said. I think like the shots are great, but like everything behind it, I think just didn't connect with me. And like I said, like the first 30 minutes, like I liked hearing the stories. I like being part of the community. Like I really like Swink's character. It's just when like the whole movie is just that kind of stuff. It just it got very like emotionally like tiring. But all that stuff is good. I mean, the dialogue is very realistic. Like it's hard to do like realistic human dialogue.
Yeah.
Saying these are like again, like I don't know if these are real stories or not. So if they are not real stories, and the dialogue is really, really well delivered and really well written as well. So all that stuff is good in my opinion.
Yeah. I do want to shout out the cinematographer of this because Joshua James Richards, because the movie looks phenomenal. He did do a couple movies. One that I really want to see, which has been on my watch list, called God's Own Country, came out in 2017. So that's definitely like a must watch for me now. I can definitely like in terms of critiques, and mine aren't very big ones like your guys are, but I thought the stuff with like Dave wasn't as didn't hit as hard, or kind of that one I felt like it was like a few minutes longer than I think it needed to be. When we traveled, I understand the point of the kind of character of Dave and like the journey to like his house and kind of like that moving away from like the nomad life. He's reconnected with his family. I get the point of it. I also think it slightly like takes away from the movie for like 5 minutes, where it's just like I want to see more of like Francis McDormand like going through stuff than this. But I get the point. It's just that part didn't hit as well for me as I think it was meant to do, or meant to be rather. There is, again, this is a fascinating movie, and I'm very like this is one I want to rewatch, and I'm very curious to see how it ages and how it holds up on a rewatch. I can understand your guys' like kind of like this is manipulative, like kind of bullshit. Kind of like how like an Aaron Sorkin ending is like taking like all that emotional like
It's not Aaron Sorkin levels of
yeah
humor, but
Aaron Sorkin endings. I was thinking I was thinking about that Trial of Chicago 7 ending like a few days ago when I was getting mad. I was like driving in my car like fucking Sorkin.
It's like going 90 miles
slamming
an
on the
hour
horn.
highway. He's like, I do not have order.
Do you guys want to get to Hallmark scenes? Favorite scenes in the movie? I know it might be tough.
I think I just covered mine.
Yeah,
You
I
covered
covered mine.
Okay, awesome. Let's get to grades. We grade stuff on an A, B, C, D, F scale. No plus or minuses. That will probably come back to bite us in the foot one day, but right now, as we're kind of thriving, surviving.
We do high and low letters.
Yeah. Yeah. Matt, why don't you go first?
See. I appreciate this movie more than I like it. I mean, there's a lot to like about it. I was being very theatrical at the beginning, like with like my criticisms. Like there is good stuff here. I just think that it's just emotionally too much. It's just feels kind of melodramatic at times, and I wish that there was more of a narrative to carry this movie along.
Mark, what are you gonna give Nomadland?
I'll give it a B. I think one of the things I liked about this film is also to the fact that it's sort of a breath of fresh air to see a movie like this being made today. It's nice to see a movie that isn't exactly tied into a franchise and isn't trying to like sell me something at the end of the film, and just is sort of telling me like which is ironic because she's going to Eternals.
It's like, where's the post-credit scene?
This is dumb.
Hey, all right. And I hope this inspires more filmmakers to take this path of like, not exactly going for like it's really ironic that I'm saying this because Chloe Zhao is doing the Eternals, but
you really fucking hate you're really mad about the Eternals.
I'm not mad about the Eternals specifically. It just I am Endgame was the perfect bow for me on the Marvel machine. And now I've come to the realization that, I'm gonna have to deal with this for like the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And
Buckle up.
It's forcing you to watch it, Mark.
Yeah.
No, I know, but like, look how Disney owns the box office. They own 40% of the box office.
Yeah.
Like, and they're setting the new standard for movie making.
Well,
and look how much money
because of COVID, and then small movies coming back.
Yeah. This movie was made for between $4 to $6 million. Small budget.
Yeah. Small budget.
Yeah.
$4 million would probably get Francis McDormand. So.
Yeah, honestly. There's a definite. Oh, Mark.
What?
Do you want to know the character? I just looked up. So I was on Wikipedia because I wanted to see it. Do you want to know where? Do you want to know where David was working temporarily when he was like sick? Do you want to know the name of the park?
What park?
It's called Badlands National Park.
Oh yeah, I know.
Oh.
They're in Badlands.
I
remember there's like a lot of dialogue. She was like, "We're the bad bitches of Badlands" or something like that.
Did you go?
I was like, oh, Terrence Malick, who?
He was looking at the camera. He was looking at the TV.
That's when Mark paused this movie, rewatched Badlands, and came back and was like, "I hate it."
Sorry, watch Badlands and then rewatch Nomadland.
I gotta watch Badlands. $46 million. So I'm gonna give this movie an A. I don't think it's like the highest A I could possibly give it. But I think it's just a movie I think worthy of that to me. I think it's pretty evident by my like love of Patterson and like Ghost Story that this is like my type of movie. $46 million. This is an Oscar frontrunner. It's great. I'm gonna rewatch this again probably in a couple months, right? Probably before the Oscars, I imagine.
No, I was question. When are the Oscars?
April, end of April.
So it's later than usual, right?
Because of COVID and everything. It typically be now, actually. We typically get it at the end of February, but they pushed it back. So nominations are coming out at the end of next month. end of April. I'll probably watch it again.
Hope Possessor gets nominated for something.
Who?
Possessor.
Oh my! Well, everyone forgot about that movie already.
What if I'm Thinking of Ending Things wins Best Picture? How would you guys react?
It's not even close to being nominated.
I know. It's
yeah,
not close.
shut up.
It's obviously gonna be Bad Boys 3. Okay, let's be
Yeah,
real.
Bad
It's
Boys
gonna be
3
Borat too.
Borat 2 is actually getting like Best Supporting Actress like buzz.
Borat 2 is actually a good movie.
Yeah, I gotta watch that. I'm gonna try to
It's
watch
on Amazon
every.
Prime. It's like ridiculously solid. It has a better narrative than the first movie.
Do you think Rudy Giuliani will get a Best Supporting Actor nominee?
Best supporting villain goes to.
No, Rudy Giuliani.
What if the Academy just as a joke just like gave it to him?
He has to show up.
He has to show up.
I want them to replay that clip where he unbuttons his pants like on stage. It's like, hey, that's Rudy Giuliani.
When he's like touching the girl's thigh.
Yeah.
Everything.
Like, oh my god. Okay, Matt, what's our call to action? What are you doing next week?
Like, comment, subscribe, comment, be a thumb fraud as long as it's me. It's probably not gonna be me though because I was not very high in this movie.
Yeah, after these last 2 weeks, people do not like us.
Yeah, the comments on Judas and Black Messiah are more directed towards you guys because I was high on that movie. So
I think it was directed towards Mark.
Yeah,
Probably was.
It's gonna be directed at Mark because Mark called this movie a manipulative and fake, basically.
Mark is like
Hey,
is like
I
the
keep it. I
Roger
was
Ebert
high.
of film frauds. No, who's that guy that like always hates movies? That critic.
Oh, Armand White.
Yeah, he's the Armand White of film frauds.
Oh my god, yes.
Just because of the last two movies. Okay, we gotta
Mark, we're kidding.
Yeah, Mark, come on. Mark's like, I'm gonna fucking. Oh, Mark.
And the next week we're doing.
I follow Roger Ebert's advice where I say I have the balls to not
Yeah.
the balls. That's not the right way to say it, but like you have the
gusto.
admit that
The
you went and saw the
integrity.
movie.
The
Yeah.
gumption.
Admit that you went and saw the movie.
Ooh, gumption's
Yeah.
a good word. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm here. I called you guys out. I started off swinging this review.
You went. You guys are crazy and stupid and nuts, and later on you're like, I'm not disagreeing with you guys, but this is what I think.
Hey, listen, I said,
He came
no.
out a bulldog bearing his teeth, and then the second we like showed him any adversity, he was like, "Oh,
Well,
I liked it because
don't hurt me."
It's good because I liked it."
Yeah, I started off
It's
by
like
going.
these kind of movies.
Oh my god. Yeah, Matt, what are we doing next week?
Minari, Steven
my-
Yen. I'm excited.
Oh, I'm so excited
We
for
should
this
be
one.
very, very good. Steven Yen's a good actor. That's all I'd say.
Yeah,
Is he directing the? He's not directing the movie. Is he?
No, that's someone else is directing.
No.
It. I don't know the name of it.
And then after that, we're doing Mark's recommendations.
I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that next week is Mark's recommendation. So
The following week, yeah.
yeah,
Maybe
That
Tyler will
man's a
have
dog
our
day afternoon.
December recommendations video posted.
I'm gonna publish it next December. Be like, oh man, December.
idea.
Look at
We
this.
got good views on those videos.
I'll publish it. I'll get it up. Yeah, I'll get it up.
I have no confidence in that.
You shouldn't.
You just said that.
Okay, guys. Thank you guys for watching. This has been fun. And remember, I loved this movie and they didn't. Okay, and I get the final word. And